In this video, I'm going to be giving you an example of multiplication using the traditional algorithm, the traditional strategy. It's one of the three strategies that 5th grade students are introduced to during Unit 2 in Everyday Math. And so our first problem that we're going to start off with is 91 times 87. With the traditional, we always start on the top and work down and start from the right and work left. So we start with the ones place at the top times the ones place on the bottom. 1 times 7 is 7. Then we go to the tens place times the ones place. 9 times 7 is 63. Now we're done with the ones place on the bottom. Now we move over and we're going to multiply the digits on the top times the tens place on the bottom. And since we're multiplying by the tens place, we have to put our 0 down here as a placeholder. Since it's a tens place, there's 1 0. So 1 times 8 is 8. 9 times 8 is 72. And then we can add those together. 7, 11, 9, and 7. So 91 times 87 is 7,917. For another example, we'll do 977 times 35. And again, we start with the ones place on the top times the ones place on the bottom. 7 times 5 is 35. So we put our 5 down in the ones place. 3 is actually 30 from the 35. So that gets carried up to the tens place. Now we're multiplying the tens times the ones. So 7 times 5 is 35. Plus 3 more is 38. And we carry that 3 out to the hundreds place. And now we take the hundreds place times the ones place. So 9 times 5 is 45. Plus 3 is 48. Now, we're done with these. And we're also done with the ones place. Now we're going to take the top digits from the top number times the tens place. And just like in the previous problem, we put our 0 down because now we're multiplying by the tens place. And then we can go up and multiply. So ones place times tens place. 7 times 3 is 21. 7 times 3 is 21 again. Plus this 2 is 23. We put our 2 up here. And we have the hundreds place times the tens place. 9 times 3 is 27. Plus 2 is 29. And then we go through and we add them up. 11, 14, and 3. So 977 times 35 is 34,195. So those are two examples. Now I'm going to do another one of these, and there we go. Just give a little bit more information about it. And we're going to use one of the same numbers again, 977 times 35. So before I go through, I'm going to talk about a couple things here. When you're multiplying, again, it's top to bottom, right to left. So we always start from the top number and then the bottom number. So from the top number, we take the ones place times the ones place in the bottom number. Then we do the tens place in the top number times the ones place in the bottom number. In this case, we can go out to the hundreds place in the top number times the ones place in the bottom number. And if this number was even bigger, we would just keep going, the thousands place, the 10,000s place, as many places as we need to. So after we've multiplied by the ones place, now we're going to multiply by the tens place. Before we multiply by the tens place, we're going to put a 0 down as our placeholder, because we're no longer multiplying by the ones place. We need to put a 0 there to hold our place, to know that we're now multiplying by the tens place. And once we put our 0 down, we can go back through the same process. Top number times a bottom number. In this case, we're already done with the ones place, so we're going to go back up to the ones place in the top number times the tens place in the bottom number. And then we're going to do the tens place in the top number times the tens place in the bottom number. And again, on this number, we'll go out to the hundreds place of the top number times the tens place in the bottom number. One thing that we talk about at school is, how do we know how many rows of numbers we need to have? And it depends on how many digits we're multiplying by. So if it was just one digit that was in the ones place, our answer would just be on this line. But this is a 2-digit number we're multiplying by. So this line is going to have the product of the top numbers multiplied by the ones place. Then the next row is going to be the product, the answer, of our top numbers multiplied by the tens place in the bottom number. And this is where the 0 comes in. We're going to put a 0 right here because this is the tens place. Now let's say that there is another number right here for the hundreds place. This line would then become the hundreds place, or the hundreds line. And since we're multiplying by the hundreds place, we would put 2 digits down. And the further down we'd go, the more zeros we'd add. 3 for the thousands place. Typically when you get numbers that big, you're just going to use a calculator though.